Hi everyone! So I cannot believe it is already the end of 2024. I feel like this year just flew by. It was absolutely crazy, but today I thought it would be kind of fun to do a little bit of a 2024 Planty recap, as it were, and also kind of look at what some of my 2025 Planty goals are. So we're going to be looking at the highlights and the lowlights from over the last year, and there are some lowlights. We're also going to talk about how many new plants I acquired over the course of the year, how many of the plants that I wanted to purge out of my collection I successfully purged over the course of the year, and there are a few new plants that you guys don't even know about and haven't seen yet that you're going to get to see today. Also, there are some plants that I ended up purging out of my collection that were not in my purge video that I did at the beginning of the year, so that's going to be a surprise for you too. But let's just go ahead and delve into it, and let's start with the plants that I acquired and the plants that I purged. Okay, so here's the deal. I said in a recent video that I didn't buy that many plants this year. And honestly, you guys, I didn't really buy that many plants this year with my own money, mind you. However, in my brain, like, I don't know what was going on, but like, in my brain, I feel like I didn't get a lot of new plants this year. And I think it's because I didn't actually, like I said, buy that many with my own money. However, I acquired way more plants this year than I realized because I had credits from Palm Street from partnering with them to use, and I used them to acquire quite a few plants. I also got that shipment of free plants from Aroid Asia. Like, I was dumbfounded when I made the list for this video to find out how many new plants I actually got this year, regardless of whether they were free, paid with credits, or paid with my own money. I don't think I have acquired, I don't even remember how many I acquired last year, but it was nowhere near this many, you guys. And I seriously thought, once again, I don't know what my mind was doing some kind of weird reconciliation that was not even remotely accurate. I thought that I had purged more plants this year than I had acquired. Oh no. No, 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 no. That was just wishful thinking. It's no wonder I've been a little bit stressed with keeping up with plant care lately, you guys. Okay, so you ready for these numbers? So I acquired a total of 32 new plants this year. Seriously, I did not think it was that many, honestly. And I only purged, which I thought this was a decently like high number until I realized how many plants new ones I actually acquired. I purged 19 plants, which is way more than what was featured in the purge video at the beginning of the year. So I'm sure you guys are super curious about what got purged. But let's go through what I acquired first because, spoiler alert, some of the new plants I acquired this year have already been purged out of my collection, and we will talk about why when we get to them. But let's start with, I'm pretty sure, hold on, let me look at the list because I don't think I actually acquired a plant prior to April. Yeah, no. I didn't acquire any new plants prior to April, and April is when I first started doing sponsored videos and everything with Palm Street, and that's when I started getting a lot of plants. I just have to laugh because it's crazy. But let's start with the first plants that I got from Palm Street in April. They did come in 2 shipments because, just as a reminder, there was a little bit of a mishap with the shipment of plants from Plants with Dirt. And so they had to send a second shipment to kind of fix the issues. And so in that shipment, let's start with the Philodendron Columbia that I was so excited to get, and you're not going to be seeing in person because let's just go ahead and make it the first plant on the purged plants list as well. So now we have one on the new plants list and one on the purged plants list. So basically this plant had spider mites when I received it. I thought I'd gotten rid of the spider mites, honestly, you guys. I then potted it up with you guys in LECA in a video. It seemed like it was on the mend from the spider mites. It was rooting well in the LECA. And then out of nowhere, the spider mites like had a resurgence. And then around that time, I think it just stressed the plant out too much because it was trying to acclimate to growing in LECA, that I started having issues with root rot on it. And it got to the point where between this root rot and the spider mites, I just decided screw it, because I still was living a spider mite free existence in this household and had been for over a year. And I decided, screw it, this plant's basically going in the trash. And there's only a few plants on the purge list that went in the trash, you guys. And like I said, I will explain why as we go along today, but that is why that one went in the trash. But in addition to that plant, I did get another red spot, Syngonium red spot tricolor. Now I already had one, so there are 2 plants now in here. I had one that I had gotten from a local plant swap probably almost 2 years ago now, I think. But I wanted a bushier looking plant, so I had gotten another one from Plants with Dirt on the Palm Street app. And I had told you guys I was having issues because the one I got from Plants with Dirt was putting out like all pink leaves, no like green and pink combination like you're used to seeing on a red spot Syngonium tricolor. But I'm happy to announce that it has finally stopped doing that. It is looking like it's killing off 2 of its oldest leaves right now, but we are now finally getting the green and pink on the leaves instead of just all pink leaves. However, this new leaf that came in over here is all pink, so it's a little bit of a mixture. There's a nice new leaf, looks like it's coming in right there, but it is starting to look more even in terms of coloration than it was back in April, where one of these plants was completely pink and the other one wasn't. Okay, in that same order, and I'm gonna like mix up in my head what was missing and what wasn't missing. Okay, some of these plants, by the way, you guys, we're gonna have to look at them in person while I'm talking about them because they're in areas where either there have been flat mite issues or they actually did have flat mites at one point, and I don't want to risk bringing them in here. So the next one we're going to look at has been living in my master bathroom since I got it back in April, and that is my Dischidia rucifolia, which has been growing fabulously for me in that space. This order was supposed to have my Calathea fasciata in it, and it didn't. So that was the fix order that came in, and that order, you know what, my count here is off for my new plants, I just realized. All right, you guys, revised numbers. I got 35 new plants and I purged 22. So in that replacement order where, because basically, let me back up. In that first order with these plants we've been looking at, I also incorrectly was sent a Fatsia japonica, which is also known as Japanese Aurelia. I did purge that plant out of my collection. It's not a plant I was interested in owning, so it is gone. Now, the second shipment had the missing Calathea fasciata, which you guys saw in my recent Calathea video that I did. However, they also included 2 more of that plant as part of their apology for the pest and sending the wrong plant, and I didn't need 3 of them, so I have purged the 2 extras out of my collection. Now, every single plant that I got after that point through September, I believe, was an antherium. So let's talk real quick about goals that I sort of kind of set for myself for 2024 in 2023 real quick. I knew that I wanted to get some more antherium. I have always thought that antherium are absolutely gorgeous. At this point last year, I only owned one, my silver blush antherium that had been gifted to me by Aroid Asia. I will have had that plant for, I think, 2 years next month, I'm pretty sure. And basically, I didn't get heavy into anthuriums right away or early on in my plant journey because people made them out to be like super tricky, slightly hard to take care of, and so I was nervous. So I basically, when I got my silver blush, I was like, as soon as I feel comfortable that I can successfully take care of an anthurium, then I'll get more anthurium. And honestly, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was to take care of them. I feel like I just got psyched out by things that I'd heard from other people. So I decided that 2024 was going to be the year that I got more anthurium. I was not really planning on getting as many anthurium as I did, but once again, Palm Street. Palm Street just aided and abetted me in all kinds of things I probably shouldn't have done this year. And so I did get a lot of plants, I think all my anthurium. Nope, I paid for at least one anthurium out of my pocket. But a lot of my anthuriums were purchased with credits on Palm Street that I had gotten as part of payment, if you will, for doing sponsored videos and everything with them. And so, yeah, I got a lot. Let me count real quick how many anthuriums I got. So I got a total of 15 anthurium this year, which means I now own 16 anthurium. That's not 100% accurate because I did also already purge one of the anthuriums. We'll get to that in a second. but only, let's see, only 4 of those, I think, weren't from Palm Street. Telling you guys, like, it's Palm Street's fault that I got this many new plants this year. But hands down, my favorite anthurium that I got this year was from Redland Botanicals on Palm Street, and this is my oh so gorgeous Dark Crystal Mag by Carla Blackier. Now, this plant, when I just picked it up to show it to you, I just noticed that over the course of the last week, it has decided to grow some roots through the slots in the pot. And I feel like it hasn't been that long since I repotted it. And it's not like crazy root bound in there, but dang, I don't know where it thinks it's going, but I'm gonna need to keep a close eye on this one. But this plant, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, you guys. And look how big, like when I got it, it doesn't even have any of its original leaves anymore. It's been killing off the baby leaves as it's been putting out the newer leaves. They were like probably half the size of this, the little leaves that were on it when I originally received it. And they have just sized up so quickly, and it's so beautiful, and I absolutely love it. And I did recently move it, I guess not even that recently, probably been like a month or so, maybe even 2 months, out of my IKEA greenhouse cabinet because it didn't fit anymore. And it's been doing fine really with the ambient humidity in my house. It hasn't put out a new leaf since I did that, but that's probably just because it's trying to like acclimate to the ambient humidity in my house, which honestly, it hasn't been that drastically lower than what's in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. Like I'm looking at my IKEA greenhouse cabinet right now and it's actually kind of low. It's at 50% humidity, but I haven't weather stripped that cabinet or anything, you guys. But also that cabinet used to be way more full of plants, and I think all the moisture from the soil and everything like boosted the humidity in there. So I might need to go back. At one point when I first got my cabinet, I had like a small humidifier running in there, but I didn't really need it. Now that I don't have as many plants in there, I might need to reconsider like either weather stripping and or running a humidifier, but we'll see. But all in all, this plant is doing fabulous. Absolutely, absolutely adore it. Okay. Around the same time that I got this one, I got several plants from Willow Ivy Botanicals. And the first one is hands down like, well, I mean, it's my largest anthurium, first of all, which is why we're going to look at it in place instead of me trying to hold it up here on camera again today. But it is just absolutely gorgeous. It keeps flowering. I have tried pollinating, cross-pollinating some of my anthuriums with this oh so gorgeous Anthurium radicans by Luxurians, just because it keeps giving me these flowers. And so far, you guys, like nothing has created berries or anything yet. Like I'm not like that worried about it. I just figured I had flowers at the same time, and one was pollinating and one was in the female stage ready to receive pollen. So I thought I would just give it a go. If it ever works out, I'll let you know. But it's not like, I'm not like in this mindset of, ooh, I want to breed anthurium. I just thought it would be fun to try and see what happens and let you guys know. But this plant is so gorgeous, you guys. It was big when I bought it. It's gotten even bigger. I will say one of the things that really aggravates me about this plant is that it just collects dust so easily with all of those ridges and bumps on those leaves. And it's not easy to dust it off with, like I usually dust by just wetting down a little like washcloth type rag and just wiping the leaves down. But when they've got that many ridges and everything, you don't get all the dust off. So I had to switch to using some like microfiber gloves to thoroughly dust this plant, but it gets dusty again so quickly. I really have to stay on top of it, but absolutely adore that plant. Now, this next anthurium, I'm gonna put this one back and grab it. Also from Willow Ivy Botanicals, and I got a freebie plant from her in this same order, so we're gonna look at that one too. But this next plant is like, it's one that I really, really wanted, and it is the only anthurium, take that back. I have 2 anthurium right now that are giving me some trouble. One of them just started giving me trouble, and it also just flowered for the same time, let me try this again, flowered for the first time, and I think that's why that one that we're gonna look at in a bit is giving me issues. This one has given me issues since I got it. Let me grab it. So this is a Woohoo Tropicals Red Crystal by Luxurians, you guys. And if you don't know, let me flash up what a good one looks like on screen for you. This is a gorgeous plant. It's got that Luxurians texture that I absolutely love. And it's got that kind of sheen when the leaves look good. That's kind of like a bluish green, like slick sheen to it. Oh, you guys. Okay. Rehab plant when I bought it from her. Last one she had, I bought it anyway. I got a really good deal on it. And when it came in, I was kind of like being cautious with it. Everything's gone fine, you guys, as far as like the roots and everything, and the rehabbing process has been fine. But this plant has just been a little bit trickier for me. Also, I recently repotted it and it started getting fungus gnats. So I think one of the new bags of whatever, I don't even know what it was, something, one of my mixture substrate components that I put into this substrate, I think must have had fungus gnats in it when I got it from the nursery. Like, I don't know. I'm getting it under control though. Ignore the sticky trap. But when I got this, it was just one leaf. It was this leaf. And rehabbing has gone fine. As you can see though, this leaf having a little bit of an issue. I do think that this plant doesn't like to dry out as much as my other antherium, and I think that's what happened here is I was letting it get too dry and it was causing this issue. But it put out new leaves for me, and it's consistently put out new leaves for me. It put out this one, which looked nice until it started having this issue as well. Then it put out this much larger nice leaf. Still looks pretty good, except for the fact that Scooter decided to play whack-a-mole with it. And so all these holes in this slit here are from Scooter batting it with his claws when the leaf wasn't even fully hardened off. So if it wasn't for that, this leaf wouldn't look that bad. And then we started to get a new leaf. Look, it's not even hardened off yet. And I was so happy, and I put it where Scooter couldn't get it. And then this leaf decided to just go to crap on its own. So there's a nice little hole in the center there. I don't know why. The edge is all torn and deformed. I don't know why the leaf didn't get stuck when it was coming out, you guys. I have no idea why it did this to me. I'm not happy about it. And it is, I can see, starting to push another new leaf. So I'm still trying to figure this one out. It's just driving me a little bit nuts. The roots are spreading around in here. You can't really see them very well. Like, oh yeah, you can see them kind of on the side. Since I repotted it, they're already starting to spread around in here. I think I'm going to transition this possibly into one of the clear pots I have that has the holes in the side for better aeration, but also I don't know if I should, because like I said, I kind of feel like this one just doesn't like to dry out as much as the others, and that's going to make it dry out quicker. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this one out. I hope one day I can get it to look as beautiful as whatever I flashed up on screen for you. But yes, this one has just been a bit of a problem for me. Okay. Up next, oh yes, I want to show you the seedling anthurium that she included as a free gift for me when I purchased this plant. And I was super nervous, you guys, because I was like, I have never dealt with a seedling anthurium, but I'm happy to report things seem to be going well. Also, you guys, I meant to tell you that the Radicans by Luxurians has been living in ambient humidity since I've had it. And I originally had put the Red Crystal Lux in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, but I took it out relatively soon and it seems to be doing okay. It had started doing that weird yellowing thing on the leaves before I took it out of the cabinet, you guys. So just want to make that clear before anybody's like, oh, well, it started doing that because you took it out of the cabinet and now it's in lower humidity. I don't think that had anything to do with it. But this next plant has been living in the cabinet since I got it because it was just a little seedling. And I have had like a cloche, like a big clear jar over the top of it. I did take it off a few days ago to kind of let it air out because I think it might be getting to the point where it doesn't need that anymore. It is killing off some of its older leaves, but I'm not too worried about it because it keeps pushing out new leaves and there's a new one coming out right now. So it's not going to look like superbly fabulous right now because it's still just a baby, but that's the newest leaf that came out there. It is starting to show some decent venation. It is getting taller. I can't see the roots spreading yet, which is driving me nuts, but I did try putting sphagnum moss on the top here. Well, it came with it was in sphagnum moss when I got it. So I just put the sphagnum moss on top to try to encourage the new roots at the top to spread down into the bottom there. It hasn't happened yet. It's kind of growing slow, but also the type of plant this is because of one of the crosses. So it's a cross of 3 plants actually. Hold on, I always got to read it to make sure I say it right. So it's a Jack of Clubs crossed with a Dreamweaver by Doriaki. Doriaki is a notoriously slower grower. I mean, it's kind of like my silver blush reminds me of a Doriaki and it grows slow too. So I think that's why this has been relatively slow growing and definitely slower growing than any of the other anthurium I have, minus my silver blush, which like I just said, is not the fastest grower either. But it has consistently been putting out new leaves. There is a new leaf coming in right now. So all in all, I think it's doing pretty well. I would just be happier if I could see the roots actually spread around in there. Now, when I potted it up into this substrate, which this is Fontanimal Plant House, they had sent me a little bag of their seed starter substrate in with one of the plants that I ordered from them, and that's what I potted this up in. And when I potted it up, it did have roots that were about this long, and it looked super healthy and everything, and it's been in here. I'll flash up how long it's been in this substrate for now. So I think we're doing good. I almost want to pop it out of here and make sure the roots are doing good, just because I haven't seen roots spreading, but I think it's doing okay, you guys. I might pop it out of here after this video and see how it's doing. But super excited about this one, and super excited that it's still alive, considering it's the first seedling, like really tiny seedling, like was just in moss seedling anthurium that I have had. So, okay, so after this, I then started attending a lot of Fontanimal plant houses, live sales on Palm Street, and got even more anthurium. And so I don't even remember what order I got these in, so we're just gonna run through them. But I was in particular, I was looking for Luxurians hybrids because I do like that bumpy look that the Luxurians has. So I do have a lot of Luxurians hybrids, like you've already seen 2. You're about to see another one. So this one's been giving me a little bit of problems, but primarily just with stuck leaves. So this is an Anthurium Luxurians by Long Bullet, which is a type of pap. If I can fit the full name for this one up on the screen, I'll throw it up there for you, but it's kind of long and a mouthful. But it had a few leaves. It has lost some of its oldest leaves, but this is the only original leaf that's still on it. As you can see, it's got that bumpy texture, and it does get that kind of bluish sheen that I was talking about, like the Red Crystal Lux gets as well. So I got this plant, first new leaf it gave me was this beauty right here. Absolutely love it. And then we just decided that we were going to get stuck leaf after stuck leaf. And so this leaf is damaged because it got stuck. This leaf is damaged because it got stuck. I did not originally have it in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. I just had it in one of the windows here in my office, a north-facing window. But after I started getting all these torn stuck leaves, I moved it back into the IKEA greenhouse cabinet, and it hasn't given me a new leaf yet since I did that. I did recently have to up pot it. It is getting nice roots spreading around in there. So all in all, I think it's doing well. And if we can resolve this stuck torn leaf issue, I think it's going to be one of my favorite anthuriums. Okay, I got this one around that same time from them. It has killed off a few of its older leaves lately. This one needs to be repotted again already. I've already repotted it once since I got it from them. But this is a Anthurium Pink Lemonade by Eastern Dressleri. Dressleri. I'll flash it up on screen for you. I think it's Dressleri. But this plant is absolutely gorgeous. A very velvety leafed anthurium. The leaves are all going to look lighter on camera for you guys today than they actually are, just because the light's shining through the back. That's why I'm trying to put my hand over it so you can see kind of how dark it is. But this plant has done fabulously for me. This is the newest leaf that it put out. Obviously, I've cut off the oldest leaves. This is killing off this one, which I think this is one of the ones that was on it when I got it as well. And so they went from this size, and we have sized up, like I said, pretty quickly here. I will say all of them, since we moved into colder weather time, all of my anthuriums have slowed down a bit. I'm not surprised about that. But in general, they're still giving me leaves, and so that's exciting. But like I said, I've already repotted this once, and it is already got a ton of roots spreading around in there, so I'm probably going to have to repot it again soon. But absolutely love this one. Once again, this one was not living in my IKEA green... Did I say that I moved the last one into my IKEA? I did say, I think, that I moved it into my IKEA greenhouse recently when the weather got colder, because these were all living directly in my north-facing windows here, and these are not my new windows. I had the windows on the back side of my house downstairs replaced shortly after I moved into this house. And so they don't get as cold or hot as the builder grade windows. These are still builder grade windows in here, and they get pretty cold. So I didn't want to have them right next to the window. So they have been, including this one, have been moved into my IKEA greenhouse cabinet because I did unload a lot of my rare plant inventory over the last few months. So I had room to put them in there, but absolutely love this one. Okay, let's see. Yes, we have another long bullet hybrid to look at next. And for any of you who might be wondering why I have not done an anthurium care guide on my channel yet, here's why. So I don't like to do care guides until I have had a significant amount of experience caring for preferably more than one plant. If I'm doing it to cover a whole like genus, like if I'm just doing like a care guide on philodendron micans, than if I've only owned a philodendron micans and no other philodendron, which obviously I own a lot of philodendron, but if that had been the case, then that would be one thing. But I don't like doing broad care guides, like here's how I care for philodendron in general, if I haven't owned more than one of the plants in the genus, and if I haven't owned more than one of the plants for minimum 1 year. So eventually you guys will get an anthurium care guide. It's just not going to happen before April of this year, because then I will have had a large number now of anthurium for at least 1 year. So just know I will do it for you eventually, but that's why you haven't gotten it yet. So like I said, this is another long bullet cross, which once again is a type of pap. This is by Ace of Spades. Now I have 2 Ace of Spades hybrids. We'll look at the other one here in a second, but this one has been, it's been pretty good for me. It's been a little bit of a slower grower, and I did just have to remove some of the oldest leaves off of it, but it did give me, I think these are all, this might be an original leaf, but I think it is. And then it gave me this beautiful leaf, which once again, these look way darker in person. It is velvety leafed anthurium. And then I got a stuck leaf. So it is a little bit damaged, and it hasn't given me another new leaf yet. Looks like it might be getting ready to, but this one has been moved into my cabinet as well, but it was living just in the north facing windows in here in ambient humidity. And I did recently repot this, and I can already see roots spreading around in there. So these are definitely growing quickly. As long as I see the roots spreading, if it slows down its leaf output, I assume it's just working on spreading its roots, and then it will give me more leaves. But absolutely love this one as well. Okay, so then, like running out of space over here. So then I'm trying to think, I don't remember when I got this plant. Let me check. Okay, so I got this plant at the end of August. Is this the last one I got off of Palm Street? I think this is the last anthurium that I got off of Palm Street. I got this from Anthurium Papa, who I absolutely love, gives great advice on care for anthuriums at the start of each of his videos. Definitely go give him a follow just for that, even if you don't want to buy plants. So this is this is like the most complex hybrid that I have. This is also the only anthurium that I have that features a dock block plant, and it features several of them. So this is a Black Widow by Michelle crossed with a Brielle by Red Crystals. So the only part of this plant that is not a dock block plant is the red crystal part of it. And this was technically a seedling, but it was a larger seedling, a more rooted seedling than the seedling that we looked at from Willow Ivy Botanicals. This plant did recently kill off 2 of its oldest leaves, but I'm not too worried about it. It has given me 2 leaves since I got it. This one right here, this one, which didn't get stuck coming in. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like the leaves on anthurium grow too quickly for themselves and then they split. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this. Like sometimes I'm like, slow it down. Like you don't want to like break a bone from growing like too quickly and your bones can't keep up. That's kind of like how I feel about this when this happens, when it's not a stuck leaf. But this leaf has produced much more pronounced veination here. I don't even think it's not even fully hardened off, you guys, this one. So I think this is going to be an absolutely stunning plant, but it's still so mature that it's going to be hard to say what exactly it's going to look like. I did repot this, I don't even remember how long ago now, but it is spreading. I just recently watered it, so it's going to look really wet, but you can see the roots spreading around nicely in there. So this plant is doing fabulously. So super excited about this one as well. Excited about all these plants, except maybe the one that I already purged. We'll get to that. Okay, so then shortly after this is when I attended PlantCon. I'm gonna have to clear some of these and out of the way here. 1 second. Okay guys, like I was saying, shortly after this I attended PlantCon. By the way, the last plant we looked at has been living in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet the entire time that I've had it. But shortly after I got that one is when I attended PlantCon, and I got 2 anthurium at PlantCon. And the first one I'm gonna show you is the other anthurium that's giving me like issues right now because it flowered. So this is the Anthurium David Portilla Dreams, which is another Luxurian hybrid, and it had at least 2 big beautiful leaves on it the last time you saw it, and it's killed one of them off. It is killing this one off now. So not happy about this, but it flowered and I think that's why. It is starting to try to push a new leaf. I am waiting for that to kind of push a little bit more before I cut this flower off. This is one of the flowers too that I think I took pollen off of this one and put it on the Rad Lux. I don't know, we'll see what happens. It hadn't been that long since I did it. But yeah, it's just having a little bit of a freak out. It has been living outside of my cabinet the entire time I had it. Like I said, it was fine until like a few weeks ago. Not even, this thing came up out of nowhere. I feel like it was only a week ago practically. It's probably been longer than that since this popped up. But I'm not too worried about it. It is spreading a ton of roots around in here. Hopefully you guys can see. I know there's a glare. There's always this annoying glare. But the roots are spreading around nicely in there. So I think it will recover. It's just having a little freak out. It's never been in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. I might try moving it in there and see if that helps it out a bit. But like I said, the roots all look healthy. They're still spreading. So I think it will be fine. But there you have it. It's not one of my best looking plants right now. Now I also got a Woohoo's First Night by Ace of Spades at PlantCon as well, and it was two plants. It was two plants, and one of the plants had two heads on it in the same pot. And I had put one in leca and one in soil just to try like an anthurium in leca since I had both, or had more than one plant in there. The one in leca did not do well, you guys. Like we had cleaned up some of the rotted roots off of it in a video back in, I think the end of September. And I kept having problems with it. So I think when I got back from vacation in November, I took it out of leca and I put it in soil. We'll look at that one in a second. But the one that I put directly into soil has done great. It put out a new leaf recently that is not fully hardened off yet. But as you can see, long leaves, kind of slightly velvety, not super velvety texture to it, but very, very, very dark leaves and beautiful dark red petioles. Like I absolutely love this plant. This one, it is doing like, I think I repotted this. I think it was in a smaller pot than this before, and it is already spreading its roots like crazy. This was living out of the greenhouse cabinet, but I did just recently move it into the greenhouse cabinet. Now here's the other one. It's recovering. The two heads are still in this one, you guys, but one of them killed off its leaves and I'm just waiting to see if it comes back or not. It's right down here at the base of the soil. It might kick off some new growth. The roots still looked great, so it might start to kick something off again. The two leafer head over here has not pushed anything new yet, but it does look like it's pregnant with a leaf right now. So it hasn't been in here that long. I can't see roots spread. Oh, I can see a root spreading now. Oh, yay. I see. Come on, camera. Right there is the tip of a root spreading around. Okay, so I feel confident that this plant will recover, but I'm not a huge fan of anthurium and leca so far. I still have anthurium, just an anthurium crystallinum from Rare Plant Inventory in leca right now, and even it looks like it's starting to do something funky, so not a huge fan of anthurium in leca. Okay, let's see where we're at now. I need to cross things off as I'm going on this list. Oh my gosh, you guys, I totally forgot one of my Fontanimal plant house anthuriums, like my favorite one. Hold on. Okay, I can't believe I almost forgot about this plant. It's the only one not in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet that's been living in the top of these windows. It's still up there. It seems to be doing okay with the fact that it's a little bit chilly in that window. And this is another pink lemonade hybrid. This is a pink lemonade crossed with Bessier, crossed with a Carla Blackier, and I absolutely adore this plant. It is so dark. Beautiful veination, a velvety leaf plant. It is killing off its oldest leaf, it looks like, starting to over here, but I'm not worried about that because this thing has pumped out new leaf after new leaf and they're sizing up nicely, and there's another new leaf. You guys see that coming in right now. This plant has done so great. I have repotted it, I think once. Ooh, I think it might need to be watered today, but it is spreading roots around like crazy in there. Absolutely love it. I can't believe I almost forgot about this one. This is like hands down my favorite one from Fontanimal Plant House. Okay, so now that we got back on track with that, I think we have 3 more anthurium to look at. Hold on. Okay, yes, there are 2 more anthurium on the list, but since we're actually kind of going in chronological order, even though I didn't intend to, let's look at the next 4 plants that I got first. So these are all Hoya, and I did get more than 4 new Hoya this year. which if you're a channel member, you will already know about 3 of the other new Hoya that I got. And I have 1 new Hoya that even the channel members don't know about. So we're gonna look at all those here in a second. But basically the weekend after PlantCon, I went down to Texas Plant Connection shop and filmed a tour at their place, and they gifted me 4 little baby Hoyas in little 2-inch pots. So we have the Hoya Corneri Splash. This one still has not given me a new leaf yet. We have the Hoya Kingiana Inner Variegated, which I keep thinking is about to start to pop off a new leaf, but it hasn't happened quite yet, but that's okay. We have the Hoya Rebecca, which is taken off. I mean, this thing's going crazy. I feel like it's even gotten longer already since you guys saw it in the 3 years of growing Hoya video. I mean, it is really taking off. And then we have the Hoya NAP 016, which has given me 1 new leaf, and it looks like there's another one starting to spout off on there. So super excited about these. So then after that, I got after that in September, so a month later, I went to the International Aroid Society's Tropical Plant Expo in Miami. And while I was there, Phil from Fontanimal Plant House gifted me another antherium. So here we go. I know, it's like, I'm telling you. So it's Palm Street's fault, Phil's fault. No, I'm just kidding. It's okay. I'm super happy that he gifted me this antherium. I did, by the way, I don't remember if I said this, but all those Hoyas have been still living in a southeast facing window in my kitchen the entire time I've had them. This next antherium that we're about to look at that Phil gave me was living in the north facing windows here in my office until it got cold. Now it's been living in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. It is pushing out a new leaf right now. So this is let me make sure I say this right. The tag's in there. Anthurium, I want to get it in the right order for you. Anthurium Funky Dark Mama by Report. And so this is going to be the longest, narrowest shaped anthurium that I own as it matures. I am sure it's probably going to have a nice flat sinus on it. It's just a cute little baby plant right now. Hopefully you can see that new leaf, which, come on camera. Right here, new leaf unfurling, just a little tiny one. Hopefully it's not going to get stuck or anything. But yes, I did repot this into a new pot not that long ago, and we do already have crazy roots spreading around in there. So super excited about that. Okay, so then, shortly after I got back, so a month after this, and at the end of October is when I got the order of plants from Aroid Asia. And those plants also included, we have 2 more anthurium now. I am all over the place today, you guys. It's because I keep forgetting about this one because I already purged it out of my collection. So I did have 2 anthurium in that order. One of them I have already purged, and that is the Anthurium Pap Legends Seed C. Now, you guys, I don't know if I said anything about it in that unboxing video, but when I was looking at it, when I unboxed it, I was like, I don't think this is the plant that I had picked. And when I went back afterwards and looked at their website, because they had like seed A, CB, CD, whatever, all the different seed types. And then they had one that was just, didn't have seed whatever after the name. It was just Anthurium Legends Pap. And when I went back and looked, it looked like I got sent just the regular Anthurium Legends Pap and not the Seed C one that I had wanted, just based on the coloration of it and the venation. So basically I was kind of like, well, that's a shame. And I just wasn't in love with the one that I got sent. It's very similar looking as well to some of the Pap crosses that we've looked at already that I have from like Fontanimal Plant House. And so I was kind of like, you know what? I don't need this plant really. And it's not the one that I thought I was going to get. And so it what is the word I'm looking for? Acclimated from its importing so fast, you guys. It was spreading roots around in the pot. Like, it lost 1 leaf. It was looking fabulous. It was pushing a new leaf. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it to the rare plant pop-up shop that I did a few days ago and gift it, to somebody else for cheap. Not gift it, but sell it to somebody else for way cheaper than I should have. Everybody who was walking around and looking at that, who was another vendor at the event, was like, are you for real right now with that price? And I was like, I got it for free. I'm gonna give it to somebody else it still made money off of it, but like I wasn't gonna sell it for like $100 something. I think I sold it for $40. And I mean, it was a big plant, you guys. It was in a 6-inch pot. Like, You saw it. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just showed it to you. I haven't even had it that long. But yeah, it had fully recovered. And so a lovely girl had birthday money and bought it for herself with her birthday money. Now, the other plants that I got in that order, there is another one that I already purged at that same pop-up plant shop that I just did. And I knew I was going to I didn't want one in my personal collection. And that was the absolutely gorgeous philodendron Florida Beauty that they sent me. And that thing had recovered so well too, you guys. It was pumping out new roots. I think it lost like one leaf. It was pumping out new, beautifully marbly variegated looking leaves. And this one guy came by and he kept looking at it, and then he would leave and he'd come back and look at it, and he'd come back and look at it. I was like, "You gonna buy it?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, good." So once again, I didn't sell it for some exorbitant price or anything like that, because like I got it for free. I'll let somebody else get it for less than what you would elsewhere. So I think we're now up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants on the purge list, in case anybody was trying to keep track. Now, also in that order, I did get my Hoya Matilde that I was super excited about, and this thing has taken off. If you're not following me on Instagram at Aloha Plant Life or Facebook, I posted about this yesterday. It'll be like 5 days or something ago for you guys, but I was so excited when I watered this plant earlier this week to see that it's popping off 2 new vines already. So just a reminder, it was these 2 vines here, and now it is popping off a new vine. You see that baby leaf right there, and a new vine over here. So I am super excited about that. It is living in the southeast facing window in my kitchen with the other little Hoyas we just looked at. Oh my gosh, so excited about that. And then in that same order, I got, where did I put it? Oh, it's on the floor. 1 second. This Syngonium scrambled eggs, which is not my vibe, you guys. And as I had mentioned in that video, this is a variegated Syngonium Winlandii. I had a Winlandii. It's on our purge list for this year, so that makes 6 purged plants. But I purged that one. I don't really want the variegated one just because of the issues I had, or not issues, I just wasn't happy with the growth pattern of it. So like, I'm not gonna want the variegated one. And also, this is one of those plants that just kind of looks not super healthy the way it variegates to me. It's a perfectly healthy plant. I mean, the roots are going crazy. It's in like you can see, the thing is well rooted, it's growing nicely. That's just how the plant like looks. And so it's not my vibe. So I did take this to sell at the plant swap, or not the plant swap, at the rare plant pop-up shop. Was also a plant swap, but I took it to sell there as well. Nobody bought it, but this will definitely be getting purged out of my collection, you guys. But then this gorgeous variegated Monstera Peru is still in water because it had root rot when I got it. And honestly, the roots kept rotting. I have given it multiple root rot treatments. I don't know what the heck its problem was, but I just cut off some more yesterday and put it in fresh water after giving it another root rot treatment. So we're down to this one root. I'm really hoping some of those root nubs up there will start to grow some more, especially now that I cut more of the other roots off. This may just end up being one of those ones where I've got to cut like all of the roots that were on it when it came in off to resolve the issue, but it hasn't lost any leaves. Kind of crazy, you guys. So I don't know, not too worried about it. It'll figure itself out. It might take forever like those Monstera standardlianas that I had to reroot completely from them, but we'll deal with it. Okay, last plant from that order is our last antherium that we're going to look at. It is under my desk. 1 second. So this is my Anthurium clarinervium that I got from them, a very large Anthurium clarinervium. Now, this plant has kind of not been doing much, and I kind of am a little bit worried about it. I did pot it up into a clear pot that I added holes around it too, because I didn't have a clear pot this size that had holes and I wanted it to have good aeration. But I can't see any roots spreading around in here yet, which is making me a little bit anxious, especially since the Legends one that I sold had already started spreading roots. This is living, did I say where the Legends one was living? I don't even remember. I don't think I did. They've both been living in a north facing window in my dining room. So they were getting the same light and everything like that. So I don't know like why I'm not seeing roots spreading on this one yet, but other than that, it's doing okay. I mean, I had to move it further back from the window the other day because I did get this happening when we had a freeze outside and I was worried maybe it was a little bit too close to the window. and it just got really cold. I don't know, because it didn't need to be watered, but it is, I can see, starting to push a new leaf now in the center, so that's a good sign. I just really wish I was seeing roots already, but all in all, it's doing all right. I'm just would be happier if I could see roots spreading around in there. So that is all of the plants from the Aroid Asia order. So I'm back down there. So we are down to our last few plants, and these are the ones that some of you know about, some of you don't. And so let's start with the ones that the Planty members just found out about, I think earlier this week on Tuesday. I think it's when I released the unboxing video to them. So just so you guys know, because I know some people got a little upset when they recently discovered that I do members only videos, it is a perk of membership. And in case you're not familiar with how memberships work, and some people do memberships through YouTube, some people do a separate Patreon account. When I started doing memberships, it'll be almost 2 years ago in I think February, maybe March, I had polled you guys and asked if you would rather me do it on Patreon or do it on YouTube, and you guys overwhelmingly said to do it on YouTube. So I decided to do it on YouTube, even though it's more expensive for me to do it on YouTube, because I'm not just doing it to make money, you guys. It's for you guys. So if you guys wanted it on YouTube, and that was easier for you, that's what I was going to do. So that's what I did. And so certain levels get a members video, one a month. I did a few extra because I was a little behind this past month and this month. Or actually, I guess it was all this month. I don't know. It's all blurring together, you guys. But just so you know, people pay to have memberships, and so they get extra perks for that. So they get videos that you guys don't get, but everything that I tell them in videos or I show them in videos, you guys eventually find out about it in a subsequent video further down the line. So you're not missing out on anything is what I'm getting at. It's just not, when you find out about it, it's not going to be a dedicated video. So like you didn't get to see me unbox these plants, but you're going to get to see the plants right now. And honestly, it's been, I think, less than 2 weeks since I filmed that video. So these plants have not changed much in those 2 weeks. I just want to make that clear because I don't want anybody to get turned off and be like, oh, well, she's not showing me everything. She's like hiding things from me. There's things I could be learning that I'm not learning. You're finding out about all of it eventually, okay? So these plants, I'll try to do an abbreviated version of the story, but basically due to last minute decisions by my family of where we were doing Thanksgiving, I ended up having my first Thanksgiving ever by myself. And I think I was in a little bit of a funk about it. And I had just released the Hoya 3 Years of Growing Hoya video. And so I was like really thinking about a lot of the Hoyas that I wanted and I didn't have. And like, I went on Palm Street because Palm Street, like how many times do I have to tell you, it's Palm Street's fault that I have all these plants that I got this year. So I went on Texas Plant Connections live, one of their lives that then turned into several of their lives over the course of a few days during Thanksgiving week. And I knew they had Hoyas from when I filmed down there, a lot of Hoyas. And I went looking for a particular Hoya, which I just realized is the one Hoya I did not grab to show you. Let me go grab it. Okay, this first Hoya that I'm going to show you is the one that I specifically went looking for when I joined their first live. And just a reminder, on Palm Street, there's like, the sellers have like designated shipping days, and lots of them will do multiple lives between shipping days. And if you buy from multiple different lives, you don't have to pay the large shipping fee for the additional plants. You just have to pay a smaller shipping fee. So basically, most of them do like $15 shipping, and then each other additional plant that you get after the first one is like somewhere between $3 to $5 extra. And so when you go and you buy one Hoya, such as this beautiful intervariegated Hoya hushkaliana that I got, which I am so excited about, a 4-inch bushy little plant here. Oh, and it should grow pretty fast because it is a smaller leafed Hoya. So I'm super excited to have gotten this plant. But I bought this plant and then I was like, well, you know, if I want another Hoya, now would be the time, so I don't have to pay a whole another $15 if I wait until another live in the future with them. And this is how I ended up with 2 more Hoyas. I don't even know, you guys. I was in a funk, like I said. So got this one, super excited about it. Then they threw up this one, which I was not familiar with. And I was like, you know, it's kind of my vibe. Dark green leaves, small leaves, a little bit of silvery splashing on it. It wasn't crazy expensive. So I was like, why not? So this is a Hoya VL9. And as you can see, kind of a slightly more elongated oval shaped leaf that's kind of cupped. So a different shape than my other Hoyas that have this kind of coloration on them. But this thing has already popped off new growth, a new vine down here. There's a completely new vine down there. It has put out new growth on this vine up here. I don't know how well you can't really see the roots. I guess you can kind of see them over here. Roots spreading around in there. So I already know this is going to be a fast grower. Just looking at how it's behaving, only having had it for like 2 weeks at this point. So super excited about this one. This next one, Sarah from Texas Plant Connection talked me into because she was like, it's such a steal and they only had 2 of them. And I looked up what it looked like mature online and I was like, okay, it's kind of my vibe. It's got a little bit similar kind of variegation style to the Houshkaliana that we just looked at, but more of a long, thinner shaped leaf to it. It is, and I realized that I think I was pronouncing it wrong in my unboxing video. It's a Walliana, a variegated Walliana. I don't even know if I spelled it right here. I'll flash it up on screen. I realized that her husband Chris, when he input it in the live, spelled it wrong. And I think I based my spelling off of, or my pronunciation off of what he had put in the Palm Street app, and it was wrong. So you'll see on screen what it is, but it's just a little baby 2-inch plant. But once again, it is smaller leaf, so hopefully it will still grow quickly. But these are regularly, according to Sarah, and I did find evidence to support this, $110 for a plant this size. I did see a varying pricing on these for this size online. But they were still, most of them were still like $60 or higher, and I got this for 29 bucks, you guys. So it was a good deal, and it's definitely, like I said, kind of my vibe. So yeah, I got those in a moment of I'm depressed, I guess, during Thanksgiving week. Now, in that same one of those lives, I won my second ever Palm Street giveaway, which my first ever one also was in a Texas Plant Connection live, but they were actually giving away plants in this one. Usually they just give away like coupons to use if you're going to buy something. And I joined the live after they'd already started the giveaway, so I didn't even get to see the plant they were giving away. And so it, came, and I was like, all right, here we are. Unboxed it, and it was a Epipremnum pinnatum marble. Not looking super marbly, as you can see. Solid green leaf there, just some baby, sort of variegated, very white actually, leaves over here, but it had root rot, you guys, and it's a free plant, so I was not going to bug them about it. I just cut off the rot, and now I've got it just in water, trying to let it to develop a few more like roots before I pot it up. So freebie plant. I'm not going to complain if it had a little bit of rot. It still had good roots on it. So those were all purchased over Thanksgiving week, or one over Thanksgiving week, and I thought that was going to be it for new plants for this year, until I did my plant pop-up shop a few days ago, and the girl that coordinates it, she came around afterwards and was like, do you want a free Hoya? How are you going to turn down a free plant, you guys? And she let me pick from a variety, and there were multiple ones that had dark green leaves with some silver splashing on them, and I was kind of going back and forth, but this one really caught my eye. It is borderline to the size leaf that I don't like. So if you're new here, I'm not a huge fan of large leafed Hoya, but this one just had these cute, very round leaves with the silver splashiness on them. So I was like, sure, I'll take this one. So yeah, just a little bit of baby here. This is a Hoya. Oh man, I'm gonna have a hard time reading her handwriting. Something PC 997. I'm never gonna be able to keep straight all these Hoyas with letters and numbers in my brain. Let me, you know what, I'll look it up after this. I'll flash it up on screen. I'm just not sure what that first letter is on here, so I'll flash it up there. But yeah, I was super excited for her to give me this little baby Hoya, and yep, we will see. I don't know if this is one I'm gonna let trail or not yet. I might put it on a trellis, only time will tell. But those are all of the new plants that I got this year. So once again, official count, after I realized I messed up earlier, is 35. So as far as the purging plants go that I haven't talked about yet, because I think we were up to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because as I mentioned, I did purge my Syngonium Winlandii because I just was not happy with the growth pattern on it. So in addition to that, I did also make a last minute decision right before that pop-up shop to purge my Alocasia maharani. I know, some of you are probably yelling at the screen right now. That plant drives me nuts. I have such a hard time getting it to keep a significant number of plants on the leaf at any given time. Like, it was just bugging me. I think I've mentioned in a video earlier this year that it might be going on my purge list for next year, and I made the decision this past week, and it got sold at the pop-up shop. So that plant is no longer in my collection. I did also decide to sell my Haworthia, not my Retusa one. I really love my Retusa one, but this one was getting very grown out, had a ton of pups. It needed to be separated, but also Scooter kept getting up in my southern facing window where it was living in my bedroom and chewing on the tips of it. And I was just like, you know what? Is it my favorite plant? Is it even my favorite Haworthia? No. So took that one to the pop-up shop and it got sold. So it's no longer in my collection. This next one might shock a few of you, but I also made the decision right before that event to sell my Monstera Thai constellation. So this plant was gifted to me by Aroid Asia almost 2 years ago. It sat there, well, first of all, it got root rot after, I don't even remember how long, but it got root rot. Then I got it treated for root rot. I got it re-rooted. I put it in leca. It was loving life in leca, you guys. But then it was sitting there doing nothing. And you remember how I talked about all the plants I discovered flat mites on when I got home from vacation? I did not discover live flat mites on that plant, but there were dead carcasses all over that plant of flat mites and spider mites and they were carcasses from when I had put beneficial bugs on it and they had eaten the bad bugs. But I think the reason it wasn't growing for a long time was because apparently it had pests on it and I didn't know. So in the last month, it's put out a new leaf, and it was starting to put out a new leaf when I took it to the pop-up event to sell it, which I did sell it. So that plant is also no longer in my collection. But honestly, you guys, it was taking forever to take off. It wasn't highly variegated. And the more I thought about it, because my regular Monstera deliciosa, my green one, is just getting so big, I don't even know what I'm gonna do with it. I've got to repot it. I'm waiting for my parents to come at Christmas because I'm gonna need help. It's definitely, I'm gonna need help with that one. And so I was kind of like, where am I to put all these Monstera deliciosa varieties I have when they get that big? I was like, I don't need this many. And I'm just constantly was stressing out and worrying about root rot on that one because they're so known and prone to root rot that I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll get another Thai constellation in the future, a more variegated one. But for now, I'm fine to not have one. So those were the last minute decisions. Now, these other ones, some of these weren't on my purge list at the beginning of the year. For example, I did purge because I had 2 Hoya Wilbur Graves Russias. I bought both of them at the same event, and I bought the little one first, and then I discovered the big one and bought the big one. I didn't need both. I didn't want to return the little one when I just bought it. I don't even know if she would have let me. And so I ended up selling that one at one of my pop-up shops earlier this year. And then at the same pop-up shop, I decided that I really didn't need to keep the China one that I had. I liked the shape of the leaves on the Russia one better, so I sold that one as well. And that one was just a little 2-leaf cutting. It was going to take forever to get big. So those are gone. Now, also not originally on my purge list was I had a little shumi red peperomia that was living upstairs on my coffee table. I have one that lives downstairs in my living room too. And my Tenanthe Burl Marxii has gotten so big this year, you guys. You'll see in my upcoming full houseplant tour video in a few weeks, because in those videos, just a reminder, I show what the plant looked like in last year's video compared to now. That plant has gotten massive to the point where there wasn't room to have 3 plants anymore really on the end table up there. So I ended up selling off that little shumi red peperomia that was up there. I don't think this one was in my purge video, but I kind of mentioned earlier in the year, I was having constant issues with spider mites on my Alocasia. Caladium. Let me try this again. It keeps getting reclassified. Caladium Hilo Beauty. And instead of purging it, I decided to replant it outside in my front flower bed. And I struggled a little bit with the acclimation process after I did that. Whoa, I'm outside. The sun's actually here, not through a window. Even though it's in a north-facing part of my house, it's out front, these north-facing windows, it was a little funky. It still had spider mites for a while, but then you guys, I'm telling you, the natural predators outside, I guess, took care of business. That thing took off. I think I have a picture I'm flashing up on screen for you. My apologies if I don't. I swear, I think I took a picture or a video of it recently before our first freeze. It doesn't. I'm looking at it right now. It's not looking too happy right now because we had our first freeze, but somehow it's still alive because our freeze was not like, I mean, it got right to 32 for like an hour. So I don't know, it might still push out some more growth before our next freeze, depending on when that happens. But it is doing great out there. Now, I don't know, I've heard from multiple people that caladiums will come back. Like they'll act like perennials in this area, but some people have said theirs haven't come back. So we'll see if it comes back in the spring or not. It could dig up the bulbs, but I don't really want to deal with that. So that's what's going on with that one. Now, my string of bananas was not on my list to purge, but I had mentioned in my fall favorites video that Senecios, they have, or now Curios as they've been reclassified, have a tendency to not age well, and they require a lot of like plant plastic surgery, as I like to call it, to keep them looking good. And my string of bananas was the oldest one that I had. It was the most mature one, and it was just starting to have that constant upkeep needed, and then it got spider mites, it got flat mites, and I was just like, I'm done with this. So I actually trashed my original string of bananas. It just wasn't doing well. The roots had started to go downhill because it was so stressed out from the pest and trying to get rid of the pests and trying to cut vines back, and like it was just not in good shape. I had propagated it though, and I had a beautiful, almost as mature as that one at this point, string of bananas that I could have replaced it with, but I was just kind of like over it at that point. So I sold that plant at the pop-up shop that I did a few days ago as well. So I no longer have any string of bananas. I do still have 2 strings of pearls and a string of dolphins, just in case you're wondering. Now, I also, see, this was not in, at least I don't think it was in my, I just rewatched that purge video a few days ago, you guys, and my brain is already like, was it in there? Was it not in there? But my philodendron lemon lime, I ended up deciding to purge this plant because I have my epipremnum Orium neon that is very similar looking and I like better. So, and I don't really have room for both of them right now. So I went ahead and sold that one. Now, my schismatoglottis, I think was in my purge video, and I've mentioned multiple times that I might purge that one out of my collection because A, the cats keep chewing on it and I don't have a good place to put it where it's like out of reach for them to chew on it. And B, it reminds me of very much of my Apobalus plant, except that my Apobalus has the beautiful red-purple undersides to the leaves. My Apobalus doesn't guttate as much as my schismatoglottis. My cats don't chew on my Apobalus. And so I was like, oh, why am I keeping the schismatoglottis when I'm having all these issues? I don't have a good place to put it where the cats can't chew on it. And I like my Apobalus better, and it looks really similar. So the schismatoglottis got sold. No longer in the collection. Okay. See, the Adansonii. So I had from Aroid Asia, the very first order of plants that they sent me for free like almost 2 years ago. There was it's a variegated Indo Monstera Adansonii, but a lot of people call it a mint, but they're 2 different things, but they look kind of similar. So that plant has just, I think it was in my purge video possibly. It wasn't just, I don't know, not my favorite plant, first of all, wasn't growing the fastest or the best for me. And then when Spider Mite Central happened on the shelves behind my couch, the shelves that are directly in the windows, not the ones on the wall, a few months ago, it didn't have spider mites at first. I kept checking it, and then once I got the spider mites under control in the other plants, out of nowhere it got spider mites, and I was already kind of over that plant. And so I put it outside to see if maybe the natural predators would take care of it out there, and it still was having an issue. I cut all its leaves off. It is currently living under a grow light in my garage with my other outdoor plants, and we'll see what happens. That's basically where I'm at with that plant, and if it recovers, it's going to get sold to somebody as soon as I'm sure it's pest free, because I just don't like it. And then my Epipremnum pinnatum albo that I had, as I've mentioned, all of my Epipremnum pinnatums are just putting out crazy runners. I don't want them anymore. So I had 3 at the beginning of the year: the Epipremnum pinnatum albo, my Cebu blue, and my Baltic blue. I've been trying to purge them all out of my collection. The albo was the easiest one. The Baltic blue I still have because nobody wants to buy that. I even put it on a poll to try to help it stop putting out runners and hopefully put out leaves, and it looks great, but nobody has bought it yet, so still trying to get that one out of my collection. So technically not part of the 22 plants I purged, but I'm still trying to get rid of that one. The Cebu Blue, out of nowhere, just developed root rot like mad, and I basically unpotted it, cut it all off, and I was down to just like, I was just gonna have to reroot it in water. I didn't want it anymore anyway, so I just threw it away. I don't do that very often, you guys, and I feel guilty every time I admit to somebody that I threw a plant away, but as a lot of you like to comment in my videos and remind me, composting is okay on occasion. So that one's no longer in my collection either. So let's see. Okay, one other plant, and I have kind of alluded to this a lot in videos. I had 3 rattlesnake calatheas. I didn't need 3. I purged 1. It's gone. So those are the 35 new plants I acquired in 2024 and the 22 that I got rid of. I feel like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot one. I was about to say I feel like I'm forgetting one. I did. So another plant that I got rid of because it actually full-fledged just officially died and I have no idea what happened is my Joseph's coat. I repotted it and it was putting out new growth and then out of nowhere, it just died. I have no idea. Something about the repot is all I can think. I didn't move it to a different location. It had been living in an east-facing window in my bedroom its entire life. That's where it was after I repotted it. I have no clue, you guys. And it was like quick. There was no like salvaging anything. It's as fast as I've ever seen a plant just die. I have no idea what happened. That one baffled me, threw me for a complete and total loop. If anybody else has had that happen with the Joseph's coat before, comment down below and let me know. Okay, so as far as other goals go for 2024, a lot of my goals were business related. And then also I had stated that I wanted to be more on top of repotting my plants. Newsflash, I was not. I did a little bit better, honestly, you guys, but I still was not where I wanted to be. So that is definitely still a goal for 2025, is to stay more on top of repotting plants. Then also I wanted to do more plant care off camera because filming plant care while doing plant care makes it less therapeutic for me, and it is highly therapeutic for me. So I did film, let me try this again. I did do more off film, not as much as I really wanted to, but also I just found that every time I did it off film, I felt slightly guilty that I wasn't filming it for you guys. And not only slightly guilty, it was like, okay, well, I could be filming this and I'd have another video done, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. And now it's like, I'm gonna have to film a video and I'm doing this, and that's gonna create extra work, which is also gonna stress me out, which then I'm gonna feel like I need something therapeutic to de-stress. Do you see where I'm going with this? It was kind of like a catch-22 situation where it was like, I don't know, it didn't pan out how I thought. So I'm not gonna feel as bad in 2025 if I don't do as much plant care off film is what I've decided, but I'm still gonna try to do some off film because it is therapeutic in the moment and then my stress kicks in afterwards, but I digress. But as far as the Planty business goes, you guys, obviously my goal was to grow the business more, to increase income levels, because I'm still not making off of everything related to my Planty business. I'm not making as much as I was when I lost my last corporate job. I've been doing various other things to kind of supplement income. I'm not going to go heavy into that in this video because my 3-year anniversary for the channel is at the beginning of February, and that is 2 weeks before the 2-year anniversary of me having lost my corporate job and deciding I wasn't going to go back to work in the corporate world. So I'm going to catch you up on the Planty business piece and exactly what happened and where I'm at with that in that video. Otherwise, we're going to be here for like what will be the longest video I've ever done on this channel if we try to cover it all today. So all in all, I met some of my goals for 2024. Like, I did want to narrow down my collection a bit. I guess I didn't really meet that goal because I got 35 plants and only got rid of 22, but I did clear out a lot of my rare plant inventory though, because I was just massively overstocked and that was stressing me out having to take care of all those plants. So I have a better understanding now of like inventory levels and what's like good enough, you know, versus you got too many and now you're going to stress yourself out. So that definitely was good. So as far as 2025 goes, obviously I want to continue to grow the business, hopefully get to the point where I'm making at least close to what I was making at my last corporate job. I want to stay on top, like I said, of repotting and everything. I want to not acquire as many plants. I probably will still get some new plants, you guys, but I think what I want to do is like, I want to try to commit to, for every 2 new plants I get, I want to get rid of at least one that's already in my collection, like purge it, sell it, gift it, whatever. to somebody. Ideally, it should probably be a 1-to-1, but I'm trying to also be realistic here, so we'll see what happens. As it stands right now, like, I'm not planning on getting any new plants right now. Are there plants on my wish list? Yes. Do you guys want to see a new wish list video for 2025? Comment down below and let me know. I haven't actually planned one out yet, partially because I feel like the second I film one, I'm gonna be like, man, I should go get that plant. I wonder who's selling it. I'll probably hop on Palm Street and then I'll get sucked into this hole where I end up with more new plants than I really needed because, you know, I just went to get this one. But that is kind of where I'm at. I am also, you guys, most likely Palm Street is sending me back to the International Aroid Society Tropical Expo, Plant Expo in Miami again this coming year. And I did not have, like, it was kind of last minute that I found out about that. I did not have money set aside to buy plants there. So that is why the only plant I came home with was the one that Phil from Fontanimal Plant House had gifted me. I think I would like to this year reserve some of the new plants that I'm going to acquire. Like, I don't even know what they're going to be. I want to set aside some money and some spots for new plants for potential plants that I will get at that show. Because let me tell you, it was really hard walking around and seeing all those plants and like knowing that I really couldn't afford to like buy any. But I hope you guys have enjoyed getting this little planty recap of 2024 and hearing about some of my upcoming goals for 2025. If so, please be sure to click that like and or subscribe button down below. And I'm curious to hear what some of your goals for the next year are regarding your plants and what some of your highs and lows were for 2024. So comment down below and let me know. Thank you again for joining me today, you guys, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Aloha!